So many people have said they're going to review my book, and so few have. Why are reviews important, and why aren't they as easy as they feel like they should be? Let's talk about that a little bit today. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I'm a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 41 books and counting. Over the course of the last 40 years in business, the last 20 of which I've worked exclusively with authors, we've helped over 5,000 authors everywhere in the process, from writing, publishing, marketing their books to bestseller, and all the things especially that come beyond that. What is the ongoing process for marketing your book, for visibility and valuable? Because in the end, that's what your book really is about making you visible and valuable. Whether you want to be a bookseller or you want to use your book to promote your business, in both cases, you need a process to keep your book available, visible, valuable, used, seen, um, and really, in a place where people can know what it's about and know how specifically to be able to use it. And that's one of the big things that we as a company do. So it's not about selling you reviews. Selling reviews, buying reviews, that's illegal. Okay, that's against Amazon's terms of service and will get your book banned. However, getting help, having people help you. So, there are lots of ways where we can help you get that done. Get real, legitimate people who actually physically buy your book, read your book, and leave you a review. Because here's the truth, and we've all faced it. So you may feel like you're all alone in this place, but you're really not. The truth of the matter is that all of us find ourselves having people say, "Oh, I loved the book, man. I'm going to write a review on it," and then crickets. Then they don't. And unfortunately, because of Amazon's kookiness, yes, I said kookiness. A lot of times we end up with people who we know. We've even seen them do the review, and the review doesn't show up because Amazon's algorithm is kind of weird that way. I read a report on Amazon that basically said, if you want to know what Amazon's version of a fully legitimate review would be, it would be a absolute complete stranger who you've never met before, and never will meet ever, that accidentally somehow mysteriously finds your book, and then from there decides that they want to, read the book. And after they've read the book, they absolutely love the book and they leave you a review. So that there is absolutely no connection between you and them ever. Well, let's face it, that's not real. That's not true. Okay. Whether you're talking Terry Brooks or you're talking, the book Who Moved My Cheese or The Four Agreements or a book that Oprah's promoting in Oprah's book club or those kind of things, we find books because, normally because somebody recommends them to us. Now, yes, if you are in a place like I was when my kids were, in elementary school, and I took them to the library every single week, because they were homeschooled, um, uh, you know, then yeah, you may have, you may get to the place where you've read all the books by your favorite authors and you're waiting for them to bring out the next one in the series. And you do begin literally going into your favorite genres of books and literally judging books by its cover. Because of my reading level, not necessarily, although I do have a high reading level as well, but because of the reading speed that I had, and especially had back then, um, I mean, I actually technically have it now, but I read more of my clients' books these days than I do, just reading for fun. But, I would literally judge the book by, is it thick enough that until next, that it'll last me during the time that, and one of the things I would do with teaching the kids to read is I would read then too. I mean, more is caught than taught is a hugely important parenting technique. And so, I needed something that was going to last the whole week. I needed them to be able to get either multiple books so they had something to read every day during reading time, or so that you know, so that one way or another, whether it was a long enough book or it was enough books that they were reading, that they just like, well, I read all those books, because then I'd make them read them again, because I'm a mean parent. Ask any of my kids; they'll be glad to tell you what a horrible, awful tyrant I was. But seriously, the truth of the matter is, the reality of it is, and I hope you can hear me because my mixing board makes it sound like maybe I don't have any volume, and I apologize if I'm totally illegible today. But anyway, we'll do this anyhow. Uh, you know, so that is, hey, uh, La Flame World. Interesting, cool. Glad to have you here with us. So, why reviews? Well, number one, it's the way we are as a society. Whether it be Yelp or even Google Maps, things like that. When a place comes up, it has a rating. If you are like I was a couple of weeks ago, you're in a town that you aren't don't live in or have never been to, and you're looking for some place to be able to have lunch. You you look at the reviews. What does it say about it? I mean, I know I want this type of food, but why do I choose this place over that place? And we look at both the star rating as well as what are people saying about it. And that is how we kind of make our choice on things. And it goes all the way up to products. I mean, these days, if you want to buy a car, you go online and you research and you see what other people, what Consumer Reports, what all of those kind of things say about the vehicle. All those kind of things. That review is the primary way that we make determinations about things. So that's why they're important. But secondarily, and maybe it's actually number one, but it's secondary in the way our minds look at it, is those are the signals that people are buying it. When your reviews are continuing to tick up, in other words, you're getting more and more of them. When people go and they look and they see, hey, yeah, somebody reviewed this, yesterday, last week, within the last month, it makes the thing look more legitimate, versus you go and you wonder, how come this place that has all these rave reviews hasn't had a review in the last 6 months, the last 2 years? What happened? Did it go way downhill and people are just, kind of, they don't want to diss their local person, so they're just not saying anything? What's the reason? Did they change manager and the new manager is a real jerk? And have you said, I was looking at somebody's book the other day, and it had a lot of really great reviews, but the recent reviews were all really trashing the person, like calling them a scam artist and saying that the book was totally, and the last three reviews in a row, as well as the only review this year and the only two reviews they got last year, were totally saying negative things about them. Now, it's going to happen. People are going to say derogatory things about us. We can't help from that. But if we have a continuous process of people reading and reviewing our book, the bad stuff will diminish. Our rating will go up, and those bad reviews will fall off the list. Well, I mean, they won't completely go away, but they'll be so far down that people won't dig, two, three, 400, and yeah, that's a process. You're not going to get to two or three or four. Or I saw a book the other day that had like 25,000 reviews. Okay, very cool. Typically, that's an effort. That's going to take some time. Even if you are on a nationally syndicated television show, that's a talk type of show, and you launch your book out on it, and you get literally hundreds of thousands of copies of your book that sell right initially, right in that very first day. um, you're lucky if you get even 0.5% of those people that are going to review it. In fact, probably way less than that. And of that, you're going to get mostly all people that are just going to give it a star rating and they aren't going to say anything about it. So having somebody actually legitimately say, hey, this book was good and here's why, and they say legitimate things, that's really worth it. Now, again, you can't pay for reviews. That's against Amazon's terms of service. However, the process, you can pay a company like mine to be able to come in and oversee the process for you. There's a lot of follow up. You want to know how to do it yourself. Everything's time versus money. Okay. You can spend your own time or you can spend the money to have us spend our time to make sure the person gets the book, not just that they say, hey, yeah, I want to get that book, but they actually do purchase the book on their account and then follow up. Did you like the book? Did you read the book? Follow up. Hey, what did you think about the book? Would you like to leave a review with the book? Okay, that's not, that's paying for our time to do the follow up for you versus you spending your time doing the follow up. You could do the same thing yourself on social media and in other communities and things like that. It can very quickly become a multiple person full-time job doing that, depending on how many reviews you want to get. And if you want to make a run at the New York Times bestseller list, you need to have 10,000 sales, and a percentage of those are going to leave reviews, but you're going to need to have 10,000 sales in a week. Okay. And then it's still not guaranteed because, New York Times, we won't even get started on that. But, it's just the way that process works. It is the buying signal. When your book has reviews and they're current and it's continually being reviewed, and those are verified purchaser reviews. Amazon says right there, they say, verified purchaser, they got it in paperback, they got it in ebook form, what have you. You know specifically what format they bought the book in. When you have those kind of signals, people know, hey, this book is really something that people are interested in. I want to check it out too. I mean, glowing descriptions are great. The truth of the matter is glowing descriptions don't really help you as far as people finding your book. Having great reviews will help you massively with your ranking. But having a massively wonderful description, it won't do anything because Amazon's going to queue off of about the first 60 characters of the description. And they're looking for, what do these words say are the search terms we want to put it in? And if it's like, I saw one today that I was looking at where it was like fun, compelling, memorable, adventurous. It's like, well, those are great words. It was a great testimonial. But, as far as words that people are going to be searching, if they are searching that, they're going to get this really obscure list of books. But when you specifically, if you're looking for a book that is, a Tolkien-like fantasy novel, okay, you can be more specific. You can be like, I want to read a sweeping fantasy epic. Okay. And you can search those kind of things. That's exactly the kind of stuff that SEO keys off of. The reviews, though, more than the descriptions, more than the SEO. The SEO is going to help Amazon know how to rank you. The reviews, the people purchasing your book. Hey, Clarissa, glad to have you here with us. People purchasing your book, people reading it and saying, hey, this is what I really liked about this book, is going to make massively. It is the thing that is the difference between the books that are seen and succeed and the books that fail. If you're wondering, why did my book do so well? Because the launch is all about getting it to do really great when it comes out first. Why did my books do so well and then it just hasn't since? I would, that would be the number one piece I would tell you to look at is how often are you getting reviews? What are you doing intentionally to get people to read the book? And if they like the book, tell others about what they liked. You see, the problem with word of mouth is that if you just leave word of mouth for people to just say whatever they're going to say whatever comes out of their mouth. If you direct people, hey, if you really liked this thing, would you tell somebody else specifically what you liked about that? Even better yet, to give them a prompt of saying, would you say this XYZ about it? People like to be led to, what to say in their quote unquote word of mouth advertising. And we need to help them with that. Reviews are those things that really allow Amazon to really know, hey, this is what people think about this book. And when we do that right, along with other things, it's not the only tactic and technique that we need to use to keep your book relevant and visible on Amazon. But it is one of the cornerstones that you absolutely have to have in place on a regular, ongoing basis. Does that make sense? I hope it helped. If you would like some help, like you said, everything's time versus money. If you would like some help having your book show up, be read by legitimate verified purchasers, and have somebody do the follow-up to say, hey, if you like this book, what about giving us a review? If you would like that process done for you, just drop the word help in the comments and let us help you out too. Splinter's glad to have you here with us. Thank you so much for spending the time today. I appreciate you. We'll be back again tomorrow. Until then, stay warm, stay safe, love somebody, really, really give them a big hug today. And until we're together again next time, have a great week.